Hello and welcome to the Downsized Dish. My name is Laraine Durham and welcome to the Downsize. This is the channel where we talk about all things related to GLP-1 weight loss. And the Downsized Dish is our weekly series where we talk to people who have lost weight on a GLP-1 medication like Mounjaro, Zepbound, Wegovy, Ozempic, semaglutide, and tirzepatide. Before we get started, I just want to let you know that I'm not a doctor. So, before starting any weight loss program, please be sure to seek advice from your medical professional. And I hope that you will like and subscribe to our channel, The Downsized. Hit the bell so you never miss an episode. Sometimes we go live, and then you can join in on that as well. And today we're talking to our friend Mel B. Hey there, Mel. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm cold. I'm jealous of Mel. She's in sunny Florida. I'm in a little bit colder North Carolina. So my hands are cold. But today we're going to talk to Mel about her journey and how she got started and all that good stuff. So, but first, Mel, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. I
Sure.
appreciate that. Well, first of all, I've been following you all since the beginning. I think I've been your second member. Um,
Yay. Thank
hey,
you.
you're very welcome. Thank you. I am a 50 something year old professional woman. I am born in South Florida, but raised in the Northeast between DC and New York. Married, divorced, no children, unfortunately had a total abdominal hysterectomy in my
Oh,
30s
oh, wow.
that I was unable to have children.
Mm.
But I am a proud TT to three. And so I'm excited about that. But yeah, I'm a professional. I work for a large financial institution that's, of course, headquartered in Charlotte, as are many of our national banks.
Yeah.
And I am a marketing director, sales marketing director. So I report up to our chief revenue officer and love what I do. And yeah, that's a little bit about me. Oh, I live in Fort Lauderdale, Florida now. So
Okay. All right. Awesome. And do you work from home? Do I remember that right? You
do.
work from home? Yeah.
I
Okay.
do.
All right.
Since
Awesome.
before COVID. So I'm someone that was remote many years before COVID. So
Ah.
been doing it for a
uh,
long. Yeah.
okay. Cool. 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 Well, all right. So, Mel, tell us a little bit about how you got started with the GLP-1 journey and what that looks like now.
Yeah. Well, I think it was in 2022 had started going to a functional sort of naturopathic doctor because I wanted some advice about how I could optimize my health and longevity. So I was interested in that, like in late 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And she's phenomenal. Dr. Tiffany is what I call her. She's here in South Florida, downtown Fort Lauderdale, and I do live downtown, uh, right off of Marina Mile, right down the street, Port of Fort Lauderdale.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And at that time, I talked to her about hormones and ways that I could better manage my health and weight because at that time I had been fluctuating like yourself, Lorraine. I had always been fairly active in terms of working out,
Mm-hmm.
um, Orange Theory, doing all the cortisol raising, just doing the most.
Yeah.
But I was struggling with this sort of 15, 20 pound, 30 pound, I think at my highest uh, weight that I needed to get rid of. And at the time, she talked to me a little bit about some of the things I could do from a diet standpoint. She also talked to me about a peptide, as she called it, called Ozempic. And I
Mm.
was like, what? Now, mind you, I paid $500 out of pocket to see her. I was
Wow.
still with my primary care physician. And so we danced around with various ways for me to take weight off. At one point, she had prescribed me phentermine. This is a functional doctor, not my primary care. I
Yeah.
couldn't do it. I'm a very hyper person. I've got like I do the most. I love
Yeah.
caffeine, already high strung. So eventually, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to last year. I went back to her. I had lost probably about 15 pounds, 10 or 15
Mhm.
pounds. But I actually went to my primary care physician and started talking to my primary care physician about hormones, hormone replacement therapy. I had
Yeah.
heard of testosterone and estradiol, and she shot me down. And I proceeded to come home and send her a message on the MyChart app telling her I was unhappy with her and that
Oh,
I didn't know if this was going to be a good fit. So I fired my primary care physician.
good
And
for you.
yes, and I went to see Dr. Tiffany. Just so happened she knew my primary care physician. They both had attended a medical school here in South Florida.
Mhm.
They knew each other, and so and they
Oh.
were on opposite sides of the coin when it
Huh.
comes to wellness, hormones, peptides, all the stuff. She once again said to me, because I was complaining to her about sort of this midlife, um, middle of our body weight gain, this back and forth, and the fact that I just couldn't seem to get a hold of my overall health. And she brought up again, not Ozempic, but at this point, she said, um, have you reconsidered possibly trying Mounjaro or Zep? Not Mounjaro. She actually did use the term Zepbound, and at that time, I was like more interested. Initially, when she brought it up, I was like, I'm not giving myself any shots. I'm not.
Right.
And by the way, when she first brought it up to me in like 2022, she actually wrote me a prescription and told me to contact a pharmacy in Canada. And I was like, this is weird.
Ah.
And it was a lot. I remember seeing the price tag and thinking, there is no way in you know what that I'm paying that money.
Yeah.
Well, fast forward, she brought it up, and I thought, what do I have to lose? She brought up the fact that there was a savings card. She had the savings card in her office, and that was the beginning of my journey. I went, I got it filled. I danced around for a couple of weeks because I was afraid. I had even asked if I could come to her office and have them do it for me.
Uh,
I was doing the most. And
yeah.
but eventually I did go ahead and administer the medication and the 2.5 medication. And that was my journey. And that started in March. That was March last year. So March 20th to be exact.
That was Zepbound or Mounjaro?
Step down.
Zepbound, okay.
And my comorbidities, even though it was not covered, and I didn't figure things out right away. So that first
Yeah,
month, I did pay maybe 700 or something. I believe I used a savings card, a coupon code from GoodRx or something like that.
yeah,
But um, at the time, I just didn't know. I didn't know about how I could
right.
save money on it. But all that being said, yeah, she started me out on 2.5. She told me that I would stay on 2.5 for a few months because she didn't want me to have side effects and all this. I knew nothing. I was just taking her lead. And that's what I did. And so I went back to see her after the first 2 weeks. And I think I had lost probably like 6 pounds, maybe 3 pounds per week. And it was like,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
did have side effects like fatigue,
Mhm,
belly. I had kind of like an upset stomach, like Christopher
mhm.
brand of upset stomach.
Yeah.
So never really struggled with any of the constipation. But I stayed on 2.5 for like, well, March to April, April, May to June, through mid June.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I stayed on 2.5, and then she bumped me up to 5, and I stayed on the 5 milligrams, and I've never gone back. So I,
mm,
literally have a lot of medication peptides in my refrigerator that are 2.5 and 5. And so I just kind of, yeah, so that's what I did. So March, April, May,
yeah,
June, and then I went up, and then June, July, and August, I was on 5, and then I just ended up moving to like the sort of once monthly therapy, which is what I do
okay.
now. hmm
Oh, okay. So you do the 5 once monthly or the 2.5?
I've been alternating, and I
Ah,
did 2.5, I think, in October.
uh-huh.
Yeah, it was before I went to go get that DEXA scan, that most recent DEXA scan, and then I started doing the 5. And then the following month, I think that was December, I did 2.5. And then most recently, just last week, actually, I did the 5. So yeah, I don't really have them. I keep it on my cell phone. So I'm
Yeah.
sure, like, but it works out to be once a month, essentially.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, but talk to us about these, I guess they're over here. These before pictures.
Yeah. So I was at the zoo in the one with the shorts, and I probably was at like one I probably was at my highest, like the 150s, mid to
Yeah.
high 50s. And then we were going to see the Beyonce movie. That's why you see her like with her, that's Beyonce doing her.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. My sister was next to me and we were going to a showing of the movie of the Beyonce her last tour.
Okay.
It was like a movie, and we had
Yeah.
gone to see that, and that was in 20 both of those pictures were in 2023. All of those pictures were in 2023. Um,
And
and
how tall are you, Mel?
well, I was 5'5". I'm about 5'11". My doctor said, "Yeah, you're about 5'4.5". You're not 5'5". I'm like, "Eh."
Yeah,
But yeah,
I had the same, shrinking realization not too long ago. Yeah.
yeah. So,
What are you gonna do, right? Yeah,
I know,
okay.
yeah.
So here's so these are your before, and now let's see the, after. So and how much weight did you lose in total, Mel?
Yeah, well, when I started Zepbound, I was 154. And I am now, as of this morning, I want to say I'm like 117.8 or something.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
be going down. This is why I'm literally taking it once a month. But just
Okay.
and a lot of why I'm taking it is, inflammation. I had like a chronic sinus situation
Hmm.
that has been resolved. There's
Oh,
some other things, and then of course blood pressure, cholesterol. So even though I might not have been considered obese, I was overweight, slightly overweight. I still had chronic issues that have been and continue to be resolved by using um Zepbound, this peptide.
interesting.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
154. So I went from 154 to 128,
Hmm.
and then from 128 to 118 in November. And so I've been around that ever since. So yeah, my goal
Gotcha.
was like 125. You know, my doctor was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you're good." She's like, "You really, So yeah,
Yeah, no, I so it sounds like, with the I don't know if I would call you a super responder, but you definitely had a great response to those lower doses, the 2.5 and the 5. So, some people can lose weight on those lower doses like you did, and some people have to, kind of move up through the doses, and it just there's really no telling because everybody's so different. So, but I think it's really interesting that you're able to go with a once monthly dose. So that talk to me about, like, your hunger level, like, through the
yeah,
month. Like, does it still give you're getting these other benefits health-wise. Is it
yeah.
still giving you benefits, like, hunger-wise?
So, well, I guess I should first say that I consider myself to be a person who was suffering with overweight, but I look at it as I believe there are a couple of different categories of people. I've created this myself, of course. There, there are those of us who have chronic obesity or chronic overweight, and then
Yeah.
there are those that have situational obesity or
Yes.
situational overweight,
Yeah.
right? And then there's those people that have a little of both. So I consider myself situational overweight because
Mm.
I noticed that in my life there were things that led to it, whether it was COVID. Because for me, I think a lot of it was COVID because my sister actually lives just a couple of miles from me. And we would be like ordering a case of wine, going through it. Like it was just, we
Yeah.
were just doing too much, eating too much, not moving enough, just
Yeah.
being extra. And it,
Just yeah.
it was a
Like
lot.
like a
Yeah.
lot of people in COVID, like, there's
Yeah.
nothing else to do but eat, so that's what we were doing.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
drink
Yeah, and
a lot of
drinking,
it.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, for me. Mhm.
So there's that, but also I think midlife, because even though I went through a surgically induced menopause in my 30s as a
Yeah.
result of total abdominal hysterectomy, which was directly tied to fibroids. Um,
Oh,
fibroids, yeah. And I couldn't
mm,
just get the fibroids removed because of where they
ah,
were. So if I
yeah,
had moved, and this might be TMI, but my uterus would have been like Swiss cheese and I would never have been able
yeah.
to carry a child. So I
Oh,
vision that would serve me in the long term, which was
right.
I needed to get a total abdominal hysterectomy. So I did.
Yeah,
So again, even though I went through that, there's still the midlife spread, if you will. There's still the hormone um, therapy needed, in my opinion, in order
yeah.
to manage chronic weight as well as a woman.
Mhm,
And men too, by
mhm.
the way. Men go through andropause. So they have their own set of issues, just as an FYI. Yeah, my
That
doctor.
explains a lot, huh, Christopher? Just kidding.
But
He's
yeah,
back
so
there.
I kind of consider myself in that situational group, or maybe in the middle, because I have cravings and things like that. So to answer your question, just
Yeah,
to get back to answer your question, um, no, I really haven't had a lot of food noise. I wouldn't call it food noise. I've had hunger at
yeah.
times, and I was getting used to taking it once per. Um, somebody was calling me. I really apologize.
That's okay.
And calling me on WhatsApp. Like, so it's like,
Oh.
what? Never calls me on WhatsApp. But anyway,
That's funny.
uh, so yeah, so I think I'm somewhere in the middle, if I'm being
Okay.
honest. So um yeah, there are times when I'm like, I could eat more, but I truly believe that the lifestyle changes are very, very important. And I know
Mhm.
all of us have a different level of GLP-1 deficiency. I have
Right.
a GLP-1 deficiency. I don't think it's chronic, and I don't think it's as severe as some of my friends and people that I know in my life, and people that I've met in the community, but
Yeah.
it's there. I do though think that we have to be honest, and I don't think a lot of people are really owning the lack of making changes, and just kind of not eating enough protein. Even if you don't track, you could track that. You can
Right.
get XYZ protein per day. And
Yeah.
I don't want to offend anybody, because I think that's a personal decision what you do, but what you do is going to equal your results when it comes to your long-term health. I do
Sure.
know there will be people that will be on it for the rest of their life, but that still doesn't mean that you don't need to make some changes for your
Yeah.
health, like yourself. You
Yeah.
go help, you do strength training, like you and Christopher, you make
Yeah.
sure you have protein. And there are people that are just taking the medications. And to me, that's the recipe for backtracking, too much food noise. That's my opinion. I'm just
Yeah, no, and it's really interesting because and we did an interview with Dr. Sowa, and that'll post today. You can go it's live now, Christopher says. And, she was talking about people who have overweight and obesity and maybe situationally through life, maybe struggle a little bit or maybe gained weight due to a life event or getting
uh,
older or an medically induced menopause like maybe that you had. Um, and how maybe those people maybe that's the reason why the different levels of the medication, uh, work better for some people than others. So, maybe the reason why you're able to go a month at a time is that maybe in your body, you don't have the food noise, you don't have the level that someone with chronic obesity has. You know what I mean? So, like,
Sure.
the lower dose worked for this is just, again, my own hypothesis now, I'm not a doctor, but, I think it's really interesting that, um, you started at 153, you're 5'4" ish, so that's not, it's on the edge, right?
It's
It's
overweight.
yeah, you could use some help there, you needed some help there, and I don't have a problem with people saying, yeah, I need some help here. Help me make better choices. Help me get to where I can make these things a habit. Because a lot of times I think we get into the bad habits. We get into, um, you know, COVID definitely led us all down a path, right? So if this can help you get to where you wanna be, where you need to be, I mean, then why not? And it's recognizing that, maybe I do need to make better food choices, I do need to get that protein in, and now I don't have that constant maybe need to go get a box of donuts and eat them in the car in the parking lot.
Yeah, seriously,
Not just me.
seriously. No.
Um But it really helps. It can really help anybody get to a place, where you have more control over your eating, more control over your body, so, I mean, I think that's it just goes to how powerful this medicine is, to up from the person who is, morbidly obese down to the person who is borderline, uh, overweight obese, so, oh,
Yeah,
that's my
yeah,
hypothesis, because I think for me to go a month between, I can't.
yeah,
I
sure.
would be so hungry. So I guess, do you do you feel hunger as you go through your month, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I feel as if there are moments when I do feel hungry, but I'm
Yeah,
kind of okay with that because do you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm like,
yeah,
okay, this is normal because I think
right.
we should be normal. We should feel
We should feel hunger, right.
but the food noise, that's where sometimes I'm like, I don't have as much of that.
Yeah,
Now, I'm not going to say that in past years there weren't moments that I was emotionally eating, whether it was like COVID and I could eat like a 4 pack of these lemon cupcakes from Whole Foods that I really, really like. Um, I could do that. And
yeah,
that that I don't know. I didn't have binge eating disorder, but could I do that? Oh, yeah, I could.
yeah.
So I do think that a lot of my overeating was tied to emotion.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, so I would say food noise. Do I understand what it is? Yes.
yeah,
Have I had the traditional food noise? Not that much. Not that much.
yeah.
Does that make sense? Like it's so
Yeah, no, I can I appreciate that, and I think that, um, using it as a tool, it's one of the tools in your toolbox,
it should be.
right?
Yes.
Right, yeah, so what are some of the other things that you're doing now that you're at your goal weight, I think you said, right? This is where you wanna be, and
Beyond. Yeah. It's like
yeah,
beyond.
yeah,
To the point where I'm kind of like at simply Taisha,
yeah,
another content creator,
yeah,
where I'm trying to do like body recomposition. So I've been doing a
yeah,
lot of weightlifting and things like that. That's really important to me because
mhm,
as we age,
yeah,
we don't want to be a bag of bones. And that's my fear for a lot of my friends in this community is that I don't know that they're thinking about the long game. Like you
mm,
have to, especially as a woman,
yeah,
osteoporosis, pina, you have to do your weight training and you have to
yeah.
get protein. But anyway, I digress. Uh,
No, no, I totally agree. What's your protein goal for a day?
90, minimum of
Yeah,
90. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I mean, I think that's good. Um, e even for your weight, I think that's,
So
That's really good.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it's a lot, but I do it. I'm like, okay, two peanut butter sandwiches for lunch, and I got the two tablespoons peanut butter on each sandwich, and
Yeah,
18 bread, and all that. What was your original question, though? I apologize. It was yeah,
I'm
there was
not sure.
something you asked me. What were you gonna do? How
Well, I think it went back to the weightlifting.
oh,
So,
am I
eh,
doing?
talk to me about how you got started with that. Did you always weightlift, or is that something you've just
No.
added?
I always kind of heard it because my younger sister was a personal trainer,
Uh-huh.
but I never really took it seriously. And I was doing all the running and the rowing
Cardio.
cardio. I did start Pilates. I had started Pilates after COVID. So in about,
Mhm.
well, look, I live in Florida. So COVID ended real early here, if you know what I mean. So I started going to Pilates. And so I was doing the resistance training and I saw a difference.
Hmm.
But I started seriously taking it seriously
Mhm.
last year after I had lost, that initial weight and got to one. No, it was somewhere in between. So probably July of last year. I
Yeah.
really started taking it seriously. So I'm very proud of some of the, work that I've done to get where I am now. And between July and November, I really ramped it up. And now I'm very, very serious about it. And I was
Yeah.
always like, I did cheerleading, that type of stuff. I swam. So those were kind of my sports, if you will, in high school. And
Yeah.
so I always had a little muscle memory, especially my legs. But
Hmm.
but I needed work because I did not want to be skinny fat. So yeah, so I'm doing that as well. So resistance training. So I do Pilates, I do strength training about 3 times a week now,
Mhm.
Pilates twice a week. And then I also every day, no matter what, I do a minimum of 2 miles on my treadmill with my weighted vest, which is it right now at 20 pounds. So yeah, I do. Yeah, now it's like I'm hooked on it. I'm hooked on it, hooked on phonics. So I love it.
You're doing all the things. Do you go to a gym or do you do at home?
Well,
The
believe it
weights.
or not, Orange Theory now offers strength only classes. So
Ah.
no running, no rower, just strength classes.
Huh.
And I use my membership at Orange Theory Fitness specifically for strength training. And then of course I have Pilates, which is the resistance.
Mhm.
So that's what I do. Yeah, I do those classes. They're 50 minutes and I am stronger than I think I've ever been. I am super like
Awesome.
picking up weights and people are like, damn, how's she but I'm doing at 60 pounds and they're like, you know,
Okay, yeah.
everybody will get there, but it's
Yeah, no, that's great. At Orange Theory, do they have an instructor that takes you through a series of exercises, or is it like
yeah.
it's on the board and you do it yourself, or how does that work?
There's an instructor, but the
Mhm.
exercises are also on the board. So you walk
Uh-huh.
in and you see there's warm up and everybody does the warm ups, which are on the
Yeah.
board. And then after that, we get into the workout and there's music and there's, the coach coming over, adjusting you, making sure you're,
Yeah.
doing it right so you don't hurt yourself. And so it's pretty cool. So now we're going through something called transformation challenge. And I've joined it. I think it was like $25 to join it. And they do like the in-body scan. And they were like, wow, like they were like, okay, girl, because my body scan was really good. It had me like 50 something percent muscle
Oh,
and
wow.
like, yeah. And then although my weight, I think I'm like right now today, maybe 80 pounds of my weight is muscle. And I weigh 100 and I was like 117.8 today. So yeah, I have a lot of muscle and then my body fat was really low. I think I was like 20 today.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
so
Wow.
I'm doing pretty good. So I am passionate. I'm like all over YouTube following certain creators and
Yeah.
all the things because I really want to represent those people that may have overweight or maybe moderately, maybe they don't even have the disease of overweight, but
Right.
they are overweight,
Right.
um, who may not have a bunch to lose. And I kind of put you in this category too, although I know you believe, I know you do, you say you do have the disease of
Yeah.
obesity, but
Yeah.
you didn't have a ton to lose, right? You didn't have a lot. 50, I mean,
I mean, I went from 193 to 143, and I'm 5'4", so I'm the same height as you. I weigh 30 pounds more than you know what I mean? Like, but, I think it's kind of all relative, right? So, I mean, a lot of people in the gym come up to me and they want to know what I've done to lose weight, and I tell them, and maybe they go online or they go to their doctor, and their doctor tells them, "Oh, sorry, you're not big enough." And so they get really frustrated. So, I think these GLP-1s could help pretty much everyone with pretty much you know what I mean? So
every
many things, um, that I believe that's, eventually they're gonna get to where we know that they work for so many things like sleep apnea, like cardiac disease, like, maybe, even Alzheimer's. So,
yes.
you know,
Yes.
that's really exciting. So I'm glad you found a doctor that would prescribe you even though, maybe you didn't have that much to lose, but you needed some help, right? So
Yes.
I think everybody gets to a point with their weight, especially as we get older, we go through menopause, perimenopause, and we're like just struggling. I've talked to so many women that are just like, I got
Right.
to this age and I could nothing budged anymore. So
Yeah. So it's interesting, Lorraine, because you there is some bias, I think, that's out there.
yeah.
Um, and that's why I'm always kind of like the silent person in the back, rah, rah, rahing people. But I'm happy to report that, there are people in this community who have welcomed me with open arms and whatnot. And I know, like, there's a meetup in Tampa, and I'm going to go to that meetup on Saturday,
Yeah.
25th. And it's some ladies in um, Florida. One's from Jacksonville. There's Twan. There's someone from Vero Beach, and then another one who's also in Tampa, Tamika. She is Tamika, and Tamika is me. I don't know if you know.
I don't know her. Yeah, no, that's fun.
Probably does. He knows
Yeah.
me. But there's a bunch, so there's a group, and so I do feel like I've now been welcome. But to be honest with
Yeah.
you, I've in a way kind of felt like nobody really wants to hear that. You get what I'm saying? Like what?
Yeah, no, I do. It's kind of like, I had a very thin friend in college that lived next door to me, and I would always say, "Oh, Jane, you're so skinny, you're so lucky," like, it's and she would be like, don't it's not I'm not lucky, like, I struggle too, like, I don't wanna be skinny, I wanna be healthy weight." So, I think there's so much we have bias against people who have overweight and obesity, and it also can swing the other way too. And we have to kind of understand that everybody has their own personal struggles, right? And you don't necessarily know what somebody else is going through, and and it's easy for someone who was maybe morbidly obese who lost weight to sit in judgment of someone who, "Oh, you only lost 50 pounds, you only lost 30 pounds." You know what I mean? Like, but we
Yeah,
have to remember everybody's on their own separate journey, and we need to, recognize that these GLP-1 drugs are a tool, in our toolbox, right? So, they just can help so many people, and I'm glad that you found them and that they are working for you. So, I mean,
yeah,
I think that's great. And I think the more even, the Mel, the more that you talk to people about it and the more you tell your story, I think it's important for people to hear your story too, because there's lots of people like you that are, you know, kind of on that edge that
yeah,
could use some help. And how do you get that help? How do you get your doctor to prescribe these? Because I
yeah. That's a biggie. That's a real biggie. Again, I couldn't even get to that type of conversation with my previous primary care because I fired her ass before but I couldn't
Yeah.
even there because she didn't even want to talk about hormone replacement therapy.
Mm,
I'm like, are we serious right now? So
yeah.
I actually ended up having to go outside of my network. And
Yeah.
I thank God every day that I am blessed to be able to afford it.
Yeah.
And I pay my current doctor, who does not take insurance, by the
Mhm.
way, I pay her a fee annually. Um,
Okay.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
And again, I'm happy to be in a position to be able to pay her that fee,
Yeah.
but she thinks holistically. She's
Differently. Yeah.
functional. She's right. And her
Yeah.
husband been on the peptide. He didn't start out as somebody who was necessarily morbidly obese. He had
Mhm.
overweight, and
Mhm.
she saw him through the journey. And so, in
Ah.
addition, she was able to get her best friend on it. And I actually met her best friend because they both were at Orange Theory one day. And
Ah.
she's like, "Oh, you're taking a strength class." I'm like, "Yes, girl, good girl." So,
Yeah. Yeah, I was at the gym and we had a the instructor brought in her doctor who was one of these functional medicine, doesn't take insurance, you pay a large fee up front to have access to her, and at first I was like, "Why would anybody why would anybody pay this?" And then the more she talked, I was like, "Oh, I get it." You know what I mean? Because I had always been to a doctor who had told me, "Well, you just need to diet and exercise."
mhm,
You
mhm.
know, maybe we need to take a closer look at what you're eating and maybe and it never occurred to me to say, "You're fired." Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just thought, "Oh, yeah, I it's just my moral failing, and I can't
Yeah,
control my eating, and yeah, I need to exercise more. Let me go sign up for another half marathon. Well, that didn't work. Well, let me try this." So, I think if when you find those doctors, wherever they may be, you
yes.
know, you really wanna hold on to them and, figure out how to work that into your
Yeah,
budget, into your life, into your because it's our health and really it's so
if you don't
important,
have
right?
health, you have nothing. Like,
Yeah,
important, and it's unfortunate that a lot of this comes down to financial ability,
yeah,
and so that's kind of sad. But what
yeah.
I love about her, Dr. Tiffany, shout out Dr. Tiffany Pietro, hey, because she's on YouTube. She's actually been a guest on certain podcasts and things like that.
Ah,
But the good thing is that she is thinking really about what's best for you, and she doesn't try to gouge you.
mm,
And the reason why she can justify charging an annual fee is because she's gone and done what the other one, whose name I won't say, who went to
yeah.
medical school with her, ironically.
Oh, wow.
The fact that that happened, that my previous doctor and her actually graduated the same year for medical school. But the reason why she can charge those prices, that fee, is because she went and got training, specialized training for
Yeah,
hormone therapy, women
mhm,
in menopause. She's done those extra things for
yeah,
obesity medicine, for functional medicine. But those are,
yeah,
she said to me, well, she said, I know her. And she kind of looked. She said, don't be too hard on her because we don't learn that in medical school. She says, I had to
yeah,
go and pay to get additional training to understand obesity medicine, hormone therapy, and so that's really
yeah,
what you're paying for. It's not just a fee. Yeah, write me a check for however
yeah.
much.
Right, no, I've heard that too, and I've heard that in medical school, the training that doctors get on nutrition is very small, the obesity training they get is almost non-existent, and, and it's really a lot of that is based on men. There's not been a lot of studies just focused on women, so for her to go and get that extra training, I mean, that's invaluable. Are
Yeah,
you on the hormone replacement therapy now too, Mel?
I do. I take estradiol,
Yeah.
and I also take a low dose testosterone. And I just want to say to the ladies out there, let me look at the camera. Advocate for yourself. The Women's Health Initiative, with which my mother happened to be in, she was in that study in the 80s, early
Oh,
80s.
oh, wow.
Therapy, that study was flawed. In other words, they were not using bioidentical hormones to study the estrogen and progesterone. They
Right.
were not. They were using something that came from horses, from animals that are nothing like humans. And so it was deemed a flawed study. Hormones, estradiol, progesterone, and testosterone, which by the way falls off for women after the age of 35,
Mhm.
do not let anyone tell you that that is not good for you unless you have, and again, I'm not a doctor,
Right.
obviously, uh, but do not let a doctor simply write a prescription for an antidepressant.
Ah,
That doctor, if you can do so, and find someone who will listen to what you need and what, because as women, I want to stay, I think Dr. Tina says juicy. I want to stay juicy, but I want to be strong. And it
yeah.
stifles weight loss. If you're not taking hormone therapy, it's harder for you to lose weight. It's going to be, So I just want to say that. That's just my PSA because I truly believe in it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm on the estrogen patch, and I take a progesterone pill at night when I remember.
Right.
I have
Yeah.
to be better about that
That's
pill at night. But yeah, and I didn't start that until, like, halfway through my weight loss journey with, compounded tirzepatide because I I didn't know about it. Like, I'd heard about those studies, and I'd heard, "Oh, well, doesn't that cause cancer?" Like, I didn't
great.
really it's not really talked about, and then I heard, "Oh, maybe those studies are flawed," and then I actually went to a nurse practitioner that said, "You need an estrogen patch and progesterone," and I was like, "Do I really?" Like,
Do you
"Do
see the
I
difference?
really?" Yeah, so this is a different lady than the lady who told me just diet and exercise. This nurse practitioner had also prescribed me phentermine a couple years ago, and I had tried that, and then I was like, "Let's do all the things," and I was like, I can't do phentermine." But
It's like,
I yeah, and then so I got the patch and the pill, and I tried them, and I'm like, "I don't know, is this doing anything?" And then I met that functional medicine doctor at the gym, and then I've talked to other people, and I've seen other people talking about it. I'm like, "Let me take this a little bit more seriously and take this on and off every 3 days and really make sure to take that
yeah,
pill," and it really does make a difference, I think, in just my, how I feel, my mental state, like, the
yeah.
whole and this isn't something I knew about 5 years ago. I'm 55. Like, you'd think I would have come across this at some point
They
in
should
my life.
be proactive, but and no offense to men, I love men. I just think that the medical system is set up to lean heavily towards men's health care,
Yes.
right? Like,
Yes.
come up with a birth control pill that doesn't cause all these issues for men. Give them the birth control pill.
Right.
And someday someday it will. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's be real. This is what it what women up until I think it was like 1992, women were not even allowed to really be in a lot of the studies. It was
Yeah.
mostly men. Outside of
Right.
the Women's Health Initiative, women were not able or allowed to participate in studies. How are you studying something and applying what works for men to women? The other thing I wanted to say to you, Lorraine, is, and I don't know how Christopher will feel about this, but you might want to look into a very low dose testosterone. It is legal to for
Yeah.
women in the United States, but the only formulation is in a gel that you put
Yeah.
in thighs or here. And I'm just putting it out there because
Yeah.
the focus, the energy, it helps with
Mm.
libido. I'm just saying, that's just an added benefit. Um, yeah, but you may,
Ethan, sign me up.
yeah,
Yeah.
interesting, you know. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's something else to think about. Just
I
saying.
mean, I've got my yearly checkup with my local doctor coming up in March. So, and I've heard people talking about testosterone really just since starting this channel even. Uh, and I don't know that much about it. So, I mean, if it can help me, well, why not? You know what I mean? Like, I'm all for, as Christopher says, better living through science.
There
So,
Although a lot of regular primary care physicians, I don't know if they will, but you can
oh,
go to like hers or one of the online telehealth providers,
yeah.
and they have doctors that are specialized in hormone
Okay.
therapy. And I think they would, but yeah, a regular primary care physician, I'm not sure. I don't know
Yeah.
anyone who's able
Gotcha.
to get it that way. So yeah.
Okay, that's a good point. Now, does that help with testosterone? Does it help with muscle building too?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
I need that.
Yeah.
I need that.
I'm telling you.
Oh, and we're not doctors. We're not
Yes.
doctors. We're
Neither
not
you're
doctors.
not doctors.
Talk to your doctor. Yeah, we're just, 2 ladies talking on the internet.
Sharing our own experiences, as you would say.
Yeah.
And I'm literally am looking into getting Christopher an easy button that says I'm not a doctor. Right. Yeah. We're not doctors. He looks at you. We're not doctors.
I know, he tells me that all the time. "Tell people you're not a doctor." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
It's easy to get carried away, for sure,
Yeah.
especially when we're so passionate about these medications, and how much we wanna tell people about them and
Yes. Yeah.
the good stuff that's, we know about them. So, um,
Yes.
but yeah, well, Mel, like, did you have to change your wardrobe? Did you get rid of your old clothes? Like, what are you doing there?
I, I had a variety of sizes, to be honest. So I kept some things. But yeah, I got rid of a lot of stuff. I needed to get rid of a lot of things anyway. I had stuff with tags on it. I
Uh,
I had previously put some things on consignment. But yeah, I think it was January 2nd, 3rd, 4th, like after the new year, took like 8 or 9 bags to Salvation Army in Fort Lauderdale on Broward Boulevard. And they
yeah.
had a big sign saying, "We desperately need clothing items." And I was like, have at it. But
Here you go. Yeah.
that, uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, and I have bought a lot of things. I had taken the picture of those jeans. The reason why I took that was my sister, because she was like, "Those were the cutest jeans. Take a picture of them." I was like, "Girl." So I took a picture of them, but then I decided, and I took a picture of the tag because she wants the same jeans. They're just Levi's, for God's sakes. But
Oh.
I like Levi jeans, and I also like Madewell. So I bought a bunch of jeans from Madewell as well, because in South Florida, athleisure is kind of the thing. Like nobody
Yeah.
dresses up unless it's a real big event. That's just
Yeah.
how we do it. Yeah. Those two to the right were Levi's shorts, Levi's jeans, and those are probably some Lululemon leggings, because I have a whole Lululemon wardrobe.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are all pretty recent pictures. So yeah.
So you've lived in South Florida and you've lived in the Northeast, and I'm just wondering if living in South Florida, it's hot there, people wear less clothes. I've
Yeah.
been to Miami, I've seen how people walk around down there. Like,
People
does it
are crazy.
So do you think that influences, like, the general do people, like, try to be healthier, do you think,
Oops.
in where you are versus in Northeast?
Yes, I think that is a real good
The real
point.
thing?
Yeah, it's a real thing. Although they do call South Florida New York South, because we do
Yeah.
have New York, and I was living there before moving here. I moved here 2 months before the COVID shutdown.
Oh, wow.
I had bought a house in October 2019, and by December, right before Christmas, I had moved into my new house downtown Fort Lauderdale, and then we got shut down. And
Mm,
so, yeah, it is a real thing. Um, People do tend to be more active. Like we've got all kinds of pickleball courts and parks being built, and everybody's doing Pilates. And
yeah.
you ever see that Saturday Night Live skit about Pilates? If you haven't
I
seen, I'm gonna send it to you after
Yeah,
the
send it to me. Yeah.
freaking hilarious. But yeah,
Yeah.
it does change the way you move, kind of like it is aesthetic. Um, and you want to be able to be like cool. You don't want to be walking around covered up and things like that. So
Yeah.
it definitely does impact how you um, look at yourself and kind of what the focus is. And I
Yeah.
don't know if it's health and wellness. I think it's more aesthetic, because these
Me.
same people that are walking around with what I call booty shorts, or Daisy Dukes
Yeah.
and stuff, they are the same people out, drinking a bottle of vodka or doing whatever. So
Yeah.
a lot of it has to do with aesthetic, in my opinion. But for
Yeah.
me, this is a health journey. Like it is about
Yes.
health. But people, my friends, they are like, I wish you would. I'm sure they're like, I wish you would shut up. Because What is your sleep hygiene? You need to this. They all they I am just I
Did
feel
the medication affect your desire to drink alcohol at all?
yes.
Yeah. Do you
Absolutely.
have you gone back to drinking alcohol now that you've kinda at your goal?
I've tried. It didn't
It
work.
it doesn't work?
I
Yeah?
Let me give you an example. 2 nights ago, I went with my mom, my niece, my older niece who's in her late 20s, works for the Performing Arts Center in Miami, one of the performing arts centers. She got my mom and I tickets to see Tina the musical.
Oh, fun, yeah.
Yeah, we saw that on Tuesday night. My mom was like, "Go get a drink," because she would be accustomed to me doing that. I
Yeah.
drink less than her other two daughters, put it that way. But I was like, "Yeah, I should." So I go and I'm like, "Can I get a vodka and tonic with a twist of lime?" I took a couple sips. I was like, "Why? Why am I trying to do this?" Because I don't do it. I lit.
Uh,
I'll have a glass of wine or
yeah,
two. I can't even get through the second one. Like it's not. I can't do it like that
right.
anymore. I just
Yeah,
can't.
no, I totally get it. It's totally the same for me. Like, I can't at the very beginning, and I mean, over COVID, I was drinking all the wine, I was eating all the food, I was doing
Whew,
all that,
me
right?
too.
So, coming out of COVID, I had really developed some bad habits as far as drinking a glass or 2 here and there during the week, and on the weekend, maybe drinking some more and with friends or whatever. So, and then when we first started the medication, I could not, like, 1 sip tastes like poison, I can't do it, I don't want this, like, it just didn't taste good, it didn't feel good, like, the whole thing was bad. Now, that I'm, like, a year and kinda some months into it, I can have the occasional glass, but it's not. And they talk about studies where it's, with alcoholism and GLP-1s, and it's kind of and I totally get it because it kinda just cut off that urge for it. I don't have that urge for it anymore, and I like one occasionally, but I don't
Yeah.
feel
It's also
drawn to it like I did.
it's also a stopgap. So I agree
Yeah,
with you. So yes, I agree. I don't have that urge, but it's a stopgap. So if you try, you probably won't try again because you may be lightheaded. You might feel like it. There's a
yeah,
lot. One thing I did want to mention that I don't think I mentioned earlier, just to sort of make sure people understand. When I was on this, when I started this journey, a lot of it had to do with the fact that I was borderline with blood pressure, and about to be placed on a 5 milligram whatever lisinopril whatever
yeah,
amlodipine, one of those. My LDL cholesterol was high, and we were trying to figure out why.
yeah,
So there were comorbidities there, right?
yeah,
Not insurance to want to pay for it, of course,
yeah.
but yeah. So I just want to make that clear too. So this wasn't a vanity play in any way, and I kind of fell into it, but I just want people to know that in
I
case they're
mean, I appreciate you, mentioning that, and, I don't think you have to justify
I know, but look,
anything that but you know what I mean? But I get it. And, it's good that you took control of your health before you got to the point where you needed blood pressure medicine or high cholesterol medicine. Christopher had been on both of those for 20 years. So, it's if you can cut that off before it gets to a problem where you need that medication, why wouldn't you? Like,
uh,
absolutely. We don't, and it's so, people have these ideas about GLP-1s, but we don't say anything to someone who takes a statin for, high cholesterol or high "Oh, well, they need a high blood pressure medicine." Well,
yeah,
that's fine. Well, I need a obesity medicine.
yeah.
That's and if my obesity medicine wipes out my need for high cholesterol and high blood pressure medicine, well, isn't that all the better? You know what I mean? Like, um, I
Or
I
safety
think that's
solutions.
great.
Because I go back to this whole thing with these chronic allergies or inflammation. It's
Yeah.
an inflammation thing. It has to be because I was always struggling with being stuffy. for
Yeah.
years. And I was
Huh.
always in the saline or the whatever, the various things, and then Afrin, and I stopped. It was like, wait, I forgot to take the saline. I forgot to take that other stuff or the Afrin. And I
Yeah.
just was able to breathe clearly. And
Those
I'm,
conditions, yeah, those conditions that you never thought were serious enough maybe to go seek help for,
yeah,
you just kinda lived with them because that you thought
yeah,
that was your normal, and then when they're gone, because the GLP-1 takes out the inflammation, all that out of your body, you're like, "Dang, why didn't I why didn't
exactly.
I do this sooner?" Yeah.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. So I wanted to slide that in. And you're right. I don't really have to justify it, but I don't know. It's a part of
But
my
I mean, I understand why you, I mean, I get it, you know what I mean? Like, and I hope that someday we get to a point where, it's very common for people to take these GLP-1s. People aren't judged for taking them. It'll be, uh, 74% of America has overweight or obesity. So, at
yes.
some point, there's going to be a lot of people figuring out that these GLP-1s can do a lot of good. So, we're early
Yeah.
adopters right now.
Early oh, you know what? You know what we are? We're change agents.
Yes, girl. Yes, change
Change
makers.
change makers. Yeah. We're more, even more than early adopters.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to say that.
yeah,
But I don't know what the future will bring for me in terms of this, but I think what I'll do to maintain some of those other things like this inflammation and I don't know, but I
yeah,
plan on continuing at the same cadence that I am now, you know, in perpetuity.
yeah.
Or not,
Yeah, no, I
but I
mean,
plan on doing.
yeah, I mean, it's great that we have this tool where it's available to us. We can, uh, and there's other GLP-1s in development right now. So hopefully, a year, 2 years from now, there'll be a host of GLP-1s on the market, and hopefully the price gets driven down, and we don't have to pay so much for it out of our pockets anymore like we do now. For those of us who aren't don't have the insurance coverage, so it can only get better from here, right? So, well,
It is.
thank you, Mel. I appreciate you taking the time and talking with us today. Please like and subscribe to The Downsized. If you'd like to come on and talk with me about your GLP-1 journey, you can send me an email to Laraine@thedownsized.org. We asked Mel about 100 times to come on and tell us her story, and she finally did. Mel's one of our longtime followers, so we definitely appreciate you, Mel, and thank you for being a
Thank
member of Club Downsized. We appreciate that as well. If you'd like to join Club Downsize, we have a join button below. You can click on it and see the benefits of being a member. All of our content is free. This just helps support us a little further. We also have a website at thedownsize.org where we have a link to our Amazon store with some of our favorite protein and scales and travel products that we use. We're Amazon affiliates, so we do make a small commission off of that. And there's other good stuff on there too, so go check it out.
you.
But, thanks again, Mel. We appreciate your time today,
Thank
and it's great having you.
thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye, guys. Oh, I guess I should have said I'm Laraine Durham for The Downsized. Too late now. I'm Lora I'm Laraine Durham for The Downsized. See you next time.